Afternoon, everybody. I just want to start by acknowledging that I'm coming to you from Lutruwita, Tasmanian Aboriginal land, sea and waterways, and acknowledge with deep respect the traditional custodians of the land, the Palawa people. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you are working today, and acknowledge any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who may be participating in this webinar. Today's session, Rethinking Stress. I'm very fortunate. I got to go to Wednesdays and I get to go today. I'm finding these sessions invaluable to just spend just a quick 12 minutes out of our day to kind of rethink how we perceive things, how we, how we experience things. So this is another really great session. So without further ado, I will hand over to you, Deb.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here for our 12 at 12 at 1 o'clock on a Friday, our midweek charge on Friday, to help us look after our well-being. So today's is Rethinking Stress. We all know about stress, but do we know about the different ways to think about stress? So stress, I'm just going to go to the next slide. What are the messages that you hear about stress? When you talk about stress, when you hear about stress being talked about on the media, if you did a Google search on stress. Do you want to write a few things in the chat? Just share some of the messages that you hear about stress. I actually Googled it the other day when I was preparing for Wednesday's session, and it was like stress is the number one public enemy, number one. And we're told that it can be harmful for our health. We also told that everyone experiences, but on the same hand, it can be harmful for our health. Do need it to get things done, so there is that positive slant on it again. But often we're told we need to manage our stress. You know, you go on stress management courses. We need to avoid stress. We need to minimise it as much as possible, because after all, it is public enemy number one. But what if it wasn't stress itself, but in part the way that we think about stress that could be harmful? So a big study, and this study was done by Kelly McGonigal and Aaliyah Crum, and they're both from Stanford University. And they took 30,000 people over a period of 8 years, and they asked them 2 questions. The first question they asked was, how much stress have you experienced in the previous year? The second question they've asked was, do you believe that stress was harmful to your health? Then what they did was they looked at the public death records, not a great research project, but they looked at the public death records and they wanted to know the differences. They wanted to know if thinking about stress changed the outcomes, or if the amount of stress that people had changed the outcomes. And this graph represents the actual death rate. So if people experienced no or little stress in the previous year, the death rate didn't change much according to if they thought stress was harmful for their health or if they thought stress wasn't harmful for their health. Though, if anything, it was a little bit, if you believed that stress was not harmful for your health, you were least likely to die. And I should say, this is holding all other factors, all other factors into account, such as, previous health conditions, other health conditions. So it's just really looking at the effect of stress and your thoughts about stress. Then they looked at those people who had a lot of stress in the previous year. And yeah, you were more likely to die if you had a lot of stress in the previous year. And that shows by the orange line. So it's higher if you had a lot of stress in the previous year. So you're more likely to die. The death rate was higher. But if you believe that stress was not harmful to your health, you were less likely to die if you had stress in the previous year. In fact, you're less likely to die even compared to those people who had no or little stress in their life in the previous year. So it seems that stress, the way we think about stress, can change those health outcomes. And another study by Aaliyah Crum found that her study was with bankers, finance workers in the midst of the GFC. So really part of the most stressful time at all for finance workers. And a lot of them were experiencing headaches, backaches, sleepless nights, stomach upsets, all those physical symptoms that we think of when we think of stress. And she took some of them through a Rethinking Stress training program, and those who went through that program were less likely to experience those stress symptoms. So their headaches disappeared, their backaches disappeared, their stomach aches disappeared, and they started to sleep well again, compared to people that didn't go through Rethinking Stress training. So it seems that the way that we think about stress can affect our body in real ways. So when we change our mind about stress, we can actually change our body too. So Kelly McGonigal says that one way to think about stress is, rather than thinking about it as dangerous or harmful, is to think about it's our body's way of telling us that our heart's in something, that something important to us is at stake. And in fact, if we don't stress, if we don't care about things, then we're not likely to be stressed about things. Stress is a sign that our life is meaningful. And in fact, if you took away all the times in your life that you experienced stress, you'd probably take away all the times in your life that gave your life meaning and purpose. So stress, simply put, is a sign that our heart's in it. And stress is our body's way of giving us the energy and the resources to stand up and take action, or to reach out and to ask for help if we need it, or to reach out and just connect with other people. So it's kind of, it then leaves us with that, that response to either be courageous or be connected. So our body stress response. So if you think of, that cortisol, the adrenaline, that fight and flight response that we often have, where we feel the butterflies, the heart's pumping, our blood's racing, that's the energy that we need to stand up and be courageous. So stand up for whatever's at stake, to speak up and show that we want things to change, that we want things to be different. And also when the other stress hormone that's often not talked about much, but when I did this training with some honors psych students the other year, they go, oh yeah, they did mention oxytocin, but not really what it was about. But oxytocin is also known as the cuddle hormone. It's what we have when we connect with people. It enables us to really reach out and connect and feel good about our relationships. So oxytocin is another stress hormone that's released. And when the good thing about oxytocin, that it actually protects and heals our cardiovascular system from the other hormones, the cortisol and the adrenaline that is pumping through. So if we do nothing else, if we kind of release our oxytocin and reach out and connect or ask for help or go and help other people, that's protecting our cardiovascular system. But also changing our mind about stress. Instead, our body shows the same reaction as if it's if our body's going through moments of courage and joy. So it's that biology of courage and joy that Kelly McGonigal talks about. It's one that we can choose if we reframe our thinking about stress. So we can choose those body stress responses. So when you go through a stressful time, it's okay, what response do I want to choose here? How do I want my body to respond? What is my body giving me the energy to do? And do I need to stand up? Do I need to reach out? Do I need to help other people? So rather than avoiding stress or managing stress, it's getting better at handling stress. So it's noticing when we're feeling stress. So it's acknowledging our stress. Again, it's not pretending it doesn't exist or it's not over-exaggerating, but it's noticing it. And one way to notice it without getting over-attached to it and caught up in it is just to say, rather than I am stressed, it's saying I'm noticing that I'm stressed at the moment, or I'm feeling stressed. So it just takes us one step back from I am stressed. I'm not stressed. I'm more than stressed. I am just feeling stressed, or I'm noticing and I'm feeling stressed right now. But if you can find specific words to describe your stress, even better, because stress is really hard to do something about. It seems to become this blanket word. But if I go instead, I'm noticing that I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I'm noticing that I'm feeling there's a lot on my plate at the moment. I can do something about that. I can take some action. I can use my biology of courage to take some action. I am noticing that there's a lot of changes happening at the moment. That gives me something to talk about and to talk to my supervisor about. Consider what's at stake and why does it matter to you. And I'm stressed about something because I care about it. So what am I stressed about here? And what do I care about? So I'm stressed about this because I care about it. I'm stressed about having so much work to do because I care about delivering a good service to the students that I work with. I'm stressed about all these changes that are happening, or I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of change because I care about I have the resources that I need to do my work. And then choose how you might have an enhancing stress mindset. So rather than stress be debilitating, stress can be enhancing. It can be enhancing my resources, my body's resources, to either choose courage or choose connection. Or what's the opportunity to learn and grow from that? I can also choose that. So this is a difficult situation. Is it giving me a chance to learn and grow? How can that help me get better at handling stress and get better at handling other situations when things are at stake? Kelly McGonigal's got a great TED Talk called How to Make Stress Your Friend, and she actually kind of shows you some videos about the body's response and how choosing the biology of courage and joy can protect your heart systems and your cardiovascular system, and also how oxytocin can also protect your cardiovascular system. And Aleah Crum from Stanford University has put her Rethinking Stress course online, totally free, so you can pop in and do that. Even if you don't do the course as such, you can use some of those great resources. It's not, and know that ongoing stress can also be damaging and harmful. It's not dismissing that totally altogether, but it's also knowing that stress can also be enhancing, and trying to choose that enhancing time of stress is much more helpful for our well-being. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Deb. I must admit, between Wednesday and today, I have trying to be, changing my thought process around the stress that I've been feeling the last couple of days, and even just reflecting, this must be something I really care about. It's been quite, it's kind of brought a little bit of laughter to me. So thank you so much. We're just going to put a quick poll up, just so if people can just give us a little. Hopefully Jane can do that now. Next week's session is sharing good news. How you listen to good news can have more impact on your relationships than how you listen to bad news. It's going to be about building trust and rapport with active, constructive listening. We'll also put everything up on our Facebook page. For those who may have only joined us for the first time, we do have a Facebook group which you can find in the ADCET Facebook page. There's a little bit of conversation going on there, which is great. So yeah, I hope to see you all again, and thank you very much for joining us, and have a great Friday and a wonderful weekend.
Thanks everyone. Bye.